So, will Donald Trump end elections and democracy as we know it? That's the subject of today's video, and this is an important topic as Trump takes office in January. And I've talked before on the channel here in Korea, Koreans are actually fighting for democracy right now, and they're actually going to take a vote on impeachment of the current president. I'll give you updates on both of these topics, and let's just jump right in. This is the headline that really caught my attention today, and that's why I'm making the video right now. Donald Trump announced his plan to change elections. This is coming out on December 6th, 2024. You also have this headline. They gave millions to Trump. Now they're named to top jobs. And then you have this headline, very much related. Trump assembling U.S. cabinet of billionaires worth combined 340 billion. And remember, Musk and Vivek, they're not actually in the cabinet, so that number isn't including them. This is a crazy, crazy time. You guys already know this. There's way too much money in politics. So essentially, then billionaires can come in, buy whatever politician, buy cabinet seats. I think that is a massive problem. On top of that, essentially, what are the changes that Trump intends to make is essentially how we vote and who can vote. Basically, they want to suppress the vote. That's just what it boils down to. They want to make it harder for people to vote. And that it's going to disproportionately affect minorities and people of color. This is something that the Republicans always push for. They always try to claim voter fraud this, voter election this kind of stuff, election fraud this. And remember, Trump, spent the last couple of years trying to claim that, Biden cheated, that kind of stuff. Trump loses every single court case, and these people never have any evidence. They just make a bunch of false claims. And if they had evidence of massive fraud, they would show it all the time, but they don't have any evidence. However, this is where Musk comes into play. He can spread rumors, fake news, all this stuff all over his platform, and his believers believe, whatever they want to believe because Musk puts it on the platform. That's what they do. And this is on top of that. Musk's got a bunch of money. He can run his $1 million a day lottery during the election. You guys remember this stuff. It's like ridiculous. This is too much money in politics, too much misinformation and disinformation. And frankly, it just really irritates me. It's so egregious what we're seeing today going on. We also have this. I mentioned before on the channel, but I just want to mention it specifically just so you know exactly what's going on. This was the headline, November 15th, 2024. Musk's ex sues to block California's Deepfake Deception Act. So what's this about? I mean, basically is, hey, during a period before and after election, like this kind of, period, you shouldn't be allowed to say, use a politician's voice, use politicians' images to create, AI deepfakes and basically putting words in people's mouths. I hope you understand the implications of this. Now, Musk would argue, hey, this is free speech. If I want to make a fake video about Biden or a fake video about Kamala Harris and use their voice to make them say things that they never actually said, hey, that's freedom of speech. That's the argument they're going to make. I'm sure you understand there's massive problems with that, right? It's basically, hey, I'm freedom to spread lies and fakery, right? I myself am completely against that kind of thing. I try my best to just tell you the truth. I also make it clear in indications, hey, this is my opinion on things. Hey, this is what's going on. This is the facts. And make sure that that's obvious, that kind of stuff. But they're trying to blur the lines, right? And sometimes just purposely misinform you. And this is the danger that we have to democracy these days. I also want to bring into this to where there's a massive gap between rich and poor and what you can do and sort of how laws work for you. So for example, I saw this headline, which just came out just a few hours ago, that really caught my attention. It's related to just regular people's lives, and I'll read it and you guys will probably identify with this. This woman, it says here, I pay my bills. Chicago woman loses home despite paying property taxes on time for over a decade. Sold for, quote, delinquent taxes. How did this happen? I mean, she paid her taxes on time. She's following the law, and no fault of her own. Suddenly, like, hey, the government informs her, you haven't been paying your taxes. We're gonna sell your house for auction. And just think how upset you would be. Basically, what happened was yes, she actually did pay her tax on time, and good for her that she actually kept record of said thing. They made a mistake. I think it was like down at the courthouse or whatever. They were filing whenever she'd pay taxes. It would be like in her neighbor's name. It's like, come on. Hey, and they even sent her a letter of like, hey, we realized that there was a, clerk error. It was like, about 5 years ago, they sent her a letter. But even though they realized that there was like a mistake, they didn't actually correct it. And then it got to this point. What she had to do was hire a lawyer to basically, defend herself and take it to court and prove that she was in the right, and which she was. But think how crazy and how horrible the kind of system we have in the USA. And I know that's a really complicated issue, but it boils down to sometimes we don't invest enough money into just making sure things are running properly. And the only way to really sometimes protect yourself is you got to spend money to get a lawyer to fight for your rights. That's just sort of how the American system works. And again, this person did nothing wrong, right? And I deeply sympathize with that situation. Again, when in my opinion, when we talk about these issues, be it markets, be it politics, what's going on in government, etc., my opinion is you want people out there who are there to serve the people and just have rule of law and a fair system. And unfortunately, we live in a world to where someone like this woman, like again, I deeply sympathetic for, just plays by the rules, completely plays by the rules, pays her property taxes on time, and yet you can still get screwed by the system at no fault to her own. And these are the kind of things that we should work to clean up. And the reason why I mentioned the billionaire class is sometimes these kind of people purposely subvert the system, be it your Musks, your Viveks, your Trumps, they purposely subvert the system to benefit themselves, and they purposely want to bend the rules to favor them. And they'll all claim that they're going to, try to help the little guy. But do you really think like, one of the richest cabinets in history knows your problems or cares about your problems? And they'll say, of course not. Of course they don't know your problems or care about them. But a lot of people went along for that. I also want to mention this. I keep talking about this movie. This relates, and I'm talking about the Korean situation. This relates to what's happening here in Korea. It turns out I'm not the only one recommending this movie. It's called 12/12 Today, The Day. And it says here, coup film tops Netflix after Korea martial law chaos. So basically now everyone's watching this thing on Netflix. This goes over the historical time of when, this was a military coup. I don't want to ruin the movie, but I'll just say you'll kind of see the importance of what Trump could try to pull and how people could try to stop it, and sort of what we're talking about today, where democracy needs to be active. The article came out about this. Actually, this is out of Bloomberg. I'll read it. We're going to read some of the key points. I think, again, all this stuff's important to talk about. The end of passive democracy. This is, again, on Bloomberg, came out today. South Korea's brush with martial law is a reminder that democracy is not self-sustaining. There is a simple beauty in ideas behind Athenian democracy, humankind's first known attempt at governing democratically direct participation, right? Talking about democracy here, political equality, freedom of speech, and a system of checks and balances that include the ability to banish citizens who had grown too powerful. And this would be like the impeachment situations here in Korea, but like all these things, like it's so important in democracy, right? Political equality, freedom of speech, direct participation, all these things. But it just feels like the Musk and the Trump camps, they want that pay-to-play system. They want to gamble with the Social Security. They want to do all these crazy things. They want to manipulate financial markets. This stuff is nuts. And even just talking about the financial market thing, the Bloomberg was even saying, hey, Trump got a whole bunch of money, right before the election, and then those people who gave him the money end up being cabinet spots. They do mention, I want to make sure it's clear. Now, officially, Kamala Harris outraised Trump, right? That's actually true. Kamala Harris had a really good campaign, thing, raised money, but Trump got most of the billionaires, the top 10. I've seen numbers on this thing where he gets like these crazy rich people. To be fair, though, Kamala Harris also got a bunch of money from billionaires. Just Trump got more from billionaires. The issue is, though, is that, well, there's two. One is you could say the whole thing is too much money in the system, right? I'm not thrilled that you have to raise all this money when you're a political candidate. There should be limits on how much you can give. On top of that, which is underreported, and I mention all the time on this channel, not that many channels do, unfortunately, Trump was able to get money in any number of ways that was not officially reported to elections, be it selling this guitar, selling the gold shoes, selling the watches. He also had his NFT and his crypto crap. It's like the list goes on. He had that, he has got a stock listed on the market, the DJT stock thing. You guys know this is Trump media thing, and any number of ways that dark money or foreign money could come to Trump. So There's a possibility that Trump raised a lot more money and enriched himself a lot more than we know about. We just don't know because it wasn't disclosed, and that's part of the problem that we have right now. Is Trump and his team keep trying to skirt FBI background checks or any kind of disclosures of their financial thing, or even like when Trump goes in the office. Generally speaking, you just disconnect yourself from any of your financial connections, right? Your business connections, put that in trust or whatever, blind trust, because we don't want conflicts of interest. But Trump will probably just give it to his sons to manage, right? As if that's completely separate from Trump. It's just that kind of stuff is so egregious. So anyway, I wanted to mention this sort of like, democracy. You have to be active, and here it's again direct participation, political equality, freedom of speech, system of checks and balances, right? And then be able to banish someone if they become too powerful, or too corrupt, as you could say. This also says here, Aristotle wrote that law is what made human society possible, right? Laws made human society possible. Here's a quote here. For as man is the best of animals when perfected, so he is the worst of all when sundered from law and justice. Meaning that when you remove laws and you separate people from laws, suddenly we become a bunch of, you could say, zombies, and we're like Walking Dead kind of world. Laws keep the glue of society, and that's one of the things that I've been so impressed with going on here in Korea, where you try to have this essentially Korean president try to call the military and take over, and hey guys, totally the regular Korean people could just get out the pitchforks and go hunt the guy down, but they've been really, really cautious on that and been following the law to the T to make sure it's like, hey, I mean, this is obviously egregious. We should remove this guy from office, but they're following the law, rule of law, right? They go into a court system. I guess the National Assembly / Congress here in Korea is going to vote on impeachment. So there's been a news on like who's going to vote for it, who's going to not. And then the regular people have been saying, hey, if we don't impeach this guy and even throw him in prison, we're going to just strike and be on strike every day. So basically shut down the economy until you remove this person. So I'm just saying that there are ways to do things peacefully and through the democratic process, which I've been really proud to see. To be really frank, it's been really great to see it. And I think this comes at a time why I get emotional about this stuff, where it's been frankly just really depressing seeing the Trump people and all this stuff take office, and there's all these people like actively cheering on a corrupt individual becoming the most powerful person in the world, not just in the United States, but in the world. It's really a dangerous time, and I know I get, like I said, I get passionate about this stuff, but I do care. I do care. I just care about regular people's lives. To say, the woman who may get her house taken away from them, just keep it more localized thing. And you want them to have justice, right? You want them to have a fair system. There's so many people out there that I think that they're doing the right thing all the time. But, there's forces out there that make it difficult for them to live their lives. And we need to fight for the protection of every regular person. That's my feelings on these things. This also goes on to say, talking about sort of the Korean situation, imperfect as that democratic system was, only men above the age of 20 had full political rights, kind of referring to Korean political history. Its principles are worth contemplating as the world digests this week's shocking events in South Korea. On the night of December 3rd, this is just a few days ago here in Korea, while many of his countrymen and women were likely getting ready for bed, President Yoon Suk-yeol placed the nation under martial law. 6 hours later, after protesters clashed with security forces and lawmakers voted unanimously to overturn the decree, he lifted it. And this is the kind of stuff that we need to, just be aware of, and always be fighting for our democracy. There's a professor actually here in Korea named Robert E. Kelly. He's actually here in Busan. I haven't met him personally, but I have seen the guy on TV and such, so it's kind of funny. If I can get a chance to meet him, I will. He was comparing the Korean situation to what's happened with January 6th. He says here, likening to the attack in the capital of January 6th, Yoon had seemingly no plan to deal with the, quote, predictable explosion of public protest, and also failed to console allies overseas. But while Yoon's martial law gamble, quote, this is from him, backfired spectacularly, it also reflects dangerous trend in far-right politics, where democratic institutions are increasingly dismissed as ideological tainted obstacles to be overcome at any cost. One needs to look no further than Donald Trump, who has spoken of using the military to fight the quote enemy from within and express his intent to act as a dictator on day one to bypass opposition of his policies. And the thing that's so disturbing about Trump is you have people in his former cabinet all saying this guy is basically dictator type tendencies, and it's really a massive problem. Members in our community, though, do see this stuff. I want to read some comments from our community. Anno says the problem with MAGA is they want the factory and labor jobs to come back, but they don't want to be the ones to do those jobs. That's the main reason why they're all outsourced in the first place. So again, we're just talking about reality of how our system works and why they vote for Trump, why are they thinking. This is from Cosmicog. They say, what? Don't you think we should fund Social Security by investing in cryptocurrency? What madness! And they're being sarcastic because I made a video about I don't want Trump and his cronies gambling with your Social Security. And essentially, if you don't know, he recently announced an AI and cryptocurrencies are. We also have this from Timo Mon. They say, take note, Americans, referring to the Korean situation. You will have to stand up when Trump starts rigging the government to benefit him and his billionaire buddies. Those poor bastards who thought he was going to fix the wealth gap. LOL, right? We also have this. David says, I don't think many believe Trump, but he represents their anger. That's dangerous. Another comment, and guys, I do read all your comments every day and I always appreciate it. This is from the Real Virgo Queen. She says, these people are going to rob America blind and walk off into the sunset, leaving America in shambles. And then we have this comment from S. Lloyd. She writes, as a proud Scrabble player, yes, Chris, you used the term correctly. Talking about the word decimate, which was the last video if you haven't seen. Thank you for continuing to educate and obliterate the alternative facts. And I replied, make Scrabble great again. And I was just thinking about this. I've been talking to my wife this last couple of days. Hey, there's a lot of Scrabble players out there, a lot of Wordle players. There's a lot of people who want intellectual discussion. They want to always constantly educate themselves and learn. That's something that I do myself every single day. I constantly read and I like to share the information I have with you, and I constantly share ideas with you in the community. So I appreciate y'all coming back for more. I hope you understand the connections between what's happening here in Korea right now, what's happening in the USA right now, and why you need to be active in democracy and spreading the truth as much as you can and paying attention. So thank you for your time, everyone, and I'll catch you all in the next video.